What are the biggest problems with the farming industry now?
Are we talking conventional?
Yeah.
Well, we should define conventional. Conventional agriculture is the typical, plow, lots of tillage, and synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and monoculture, one growing one thing. So that type of model of growing food ends up with a lot of consequences. So one of the sayings I have is convenience create consequences, and that stands true on most things. So anytime you have a convenience, there will be a consequence for that. The consequence for growing, lots of one type of food is that you injure the ecology of the environment on which you grow on, and you have a high potential of having that crop being toxified in some way. It's not the optimal way of growing that crop. So I think that is one of the major issues in the food system, is that we are, we're so the industry is so focused on profit that everything else gets pushed to the wayside, and you definitely have consequences.
You talked about kind of essentially, would you say it's kind of it's not the best way to farm?
I don't think it is, but again, it is super convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things, to not get too into the weeds, because you can get in really, really pretty deep into the weeds, I would say, in most of these things. But I think that that it is, there are conveniences to it that do optimize some yields, but years down the road, you're creating a bigger issue, which will diminish your yields. And so in some sense, it is almost more work in the conventional sense than, like a no-till sense. So there's implements that can come in and plant the seeds straight in without opening up the soil. So there's different models, but that's one of the issues, I think.
What is the right way to farm?
The right way. When we're talking about farming, what comes to mind on your end?
What do you mean? Like when?
Well, are you talking animal side of agriculture, plant side?
I think it is everything, and I know you specify more in the meat area of things and with animals. So we can go kind of that route, because that's probably what you're more experienced in. But you also you know about the plant side of things, right?
Yeah. So my background is in plant science. That's probably why I started that way, thinking that. But yeah, I produce meat. Your question is, what is the right way of raising animals?
Raising animals, but I even think that what is it that the animals are eating? They're eating these plants, and I think if it is this kind of ecosystem and this cycle of that we're all consuming something that's consuming something. And how are we making both of those things, the things that we are consuming and the thing that we are consuming is consuming, the best that it can be, and so what is that right way to farm?
Yeah.
Because it is like this kind of circle or cycle.
Right. I think on the animal side of thing, both definitely have their negatives, but when you look at the extreme of conventional grown meat products, the way they're raised, it is a horrible living condition for these animals. The typical life of, let's say, a chicken is in a giant warehouse. You could have 10 to 100,000 birds in one house. The air is so thick with dander that when you look down through these houses, there's this fog, and it's all from that chicken, the bird dander. Fecal matter is in that air, and it's a horrible living condition for these birds. Again, they are living, breathing that in, and because they're locked into a permanent system. That permanent system will start to it creates destruction. So whenever you have anything permanent, it starts to degrade. Even to a fence line, what grows in the fence line? You're gonna have weeds growing up in the fence line. So anything permanent will start to degrade. And so looking at the animal model, because of convenience and profit, there's decisions that are made that these animals live in one spot. There's very little waste of food. The feed gets right into the animal. They grow them up fast and they get them out. Well, the consequence is that you have a very unhealthy animal getting fed a horrible diet. On the cow side of things, you have these animals in a feedlot. So all cows were fed grass in their lifetime. Okay, a cow's life consists of cow-calf operations, which is the mamas and the babies living on a grass area, open plains that these ranchers have, and then they sell the calves off to a feedlot. The feedlot takes those calves at around a year or so old, and then they feed them a diet of any and all plant byproducts that you could think of. I've seen almond hulls. I've seen spent bread, so moldy bread that has passed its expiration date. They put that in there. I've seen brewer's yeast. I've seen just man, so many different things that you would not think. I actually have. This is so gross. I have an article from University of Arkansas that they did a study on looking at the protein content for dietary consumption of cows on chicken manure. And they said it was an excellent source of protein for the cows. So, I'm painting that picture of those chickens in that house. After the chickens are gone, they come in, they scrape all that crap out of there, put it in a truck, take it over to the feedlot where the cows are, coat it in molasses so it's actually palatable because a cow's not going to eat chicken poop. And they mix it in with their ration, their TMR, and they feed it to the cows. And so, there's a lot of protein in chicken poop that earthworms should be eating, not a cow. And so, before I was like a snob and would eat meat that wasn't my own, I feel like I tasted it at times. Like, oh, what is it? I mean, you taste this like foul tasting, meat. And there's just a lot of that. But the cow, so, to continue that life of that cow, they sit in there from about a year old, and they feed them corn, soy, and every, byproduct, even animal byproduct, to that cow. It grows up super fast. It's basically getting a diet of McDonald's, for a human comparison. So it's very unhealthy and propped up because of the living conditions. These things are typically about ankle deep, knee deep in their own feces and urine, and so they got to give them antibiotics. So they either medicate that in the feed or they'll inject them, and so that just prop their immune system up to where they're not dying from disease, and then they go to get processed.
This is just, and I was just thinking about like at college, like when I'm at college, I try and eat like healthy. So what does that consist of? That consists of me going to the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And all I eat is just chicken and burgers. And if I'm eating these burgers and they don't taste good, they're just like, this is the best option out of like the
Yeah.
pizza, chicken nuggets, and which you've told me stuff about chicken nuggets and how they like make that, which is really gross. And it's this like foam cream thing, right?
Then they have meat glue too, which is another goodie.
Yeah, no, it's the whole thing, and even that they're getting fed these like corn and whatever you were saying, soy, that are sprayed in these pesticides, which kind of leads me what I wanted to talk to you next about, is that like in the Make America Healthy Again movement that RFK is behind. They're pushing for a shift from this like conventional farming. I don't like that. It's just kind of the farming that is happening. Industrial farming.
Model, yeah.
They're trying to change that over to this regenerative farming, which is what you do, and to reduce, if not completely get rid of pesticide use. And some people say that like getting rid of that pesticide use it ignores modern evidence that pesticides like glyphosate are less toxic than what we used to use, like Roundup and stuff. And I kind of wanted to get your take on this when it comes to pesticides. What does pesticides do to the land? Are pesticides still safe to use in farming, or should we completely remove them?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, well, it's like this, right? Like, I think pesticides are a tool in the toolbox. So as for banning them, I mean, some should be. Like, there's some horrible pesticides. What I find almost comical is these villainization of certain specific pesticides. You know, like glyphosate's the bad one. It's one of the most used pesticides in the world, and especially here. But it's definitely not the worst a pesticide that could be sprayed. I mean, you may not even know this, but DDT was used heavily post World War II. To fight off insects. And a lot of people that grew up in that generation remember them driving down the roads and spraying DDT all over the yards to eliminate mosquitoes and everything else. Well, Rachel Carson did her work finding out that DDT moved up the food chain, got into the mosquito. The mosquito went into and laid its eggs in the pond. The fish ate the pond. The bald eagle ate the fish, and then that DDT accumulated up the food chain to where the eagles, when all that, they're eating all these fish with DDT in them, that ended up making their eggs. The shell of their eggs so soft that when they went to go sit on them, they would crack them. And so she traced that back from dropping eagle population because they couldn't, raise a hatch of chicks. She figured out that it was DDT sprayed on the insects that moved through the food chain. Mm-hmm. So those are like some really bad ones. I mean, gosh, we still spray 2,4-D. That's a very toxic herbicide that you can spray on a field and it kills everything except for grasses. Mm-hmm. Okay, so any broadleaf plants, it kills that, but grasses aren't affected by it. They have a different mechanism in there. And 2,4-D was one of the two ingredients in Agent Orange sprayed in Vietnam. The bad player in that cocktail of herbicide was 2,4,5-T, and that was a really nasty one that created cleft palates 3 generations out in Vietnamese people. Nobody talks about that. Yeah. I mean, so like, we shouldn't have these things. All of these. There's a lot of like I said, villainization of some of these herbicides. But there's some really bad players and some that are not as bad. But definitely have consequences. I mean, we're seeing glyphosate in everything now. It's testing, in most crops because of its overusage. And that one is a broad spectrum. You spray it on anything and it will kill it. So
why is it that we have to use pesticides? That's kind of what I'm thinking is like, I hear a lot of farmers who are especially in the news right now with the MAHA stuff and the cutting of the USDA cutting funds that like hurt these food programs. And if they do tighten down on pesticides, why can't we just remove pesticides? I'm completely ignorant to this.
Okay. Yeah. So when you are growing a specific crop, lots of things want to eat it. Okay. You grow a tomato. If we're wanting to eat a tomato, there's 15 other things that want to eat a tomato. So let's break down pesticide to what it is. Side means kill, pest means a pest. Okay. So you want to kill the pest. So we have herbicide, which is for weeds, plant killer. We have insecticides, which is insect killer, or, for the most part. I mean, most insecticides would probably kill spiders and, arachnids, and other things like that. But for the most, we could just say insects. So an insecticide, because most insects are the ones eating the crops. Aphids, we have fungicide, fungus killer. So all these things want to attack and eat the plants, right? You have aphids, you have a whole slew of pests that want to come after that crop that you're growing. And so when you have a crop system, the most efficient way of growing that is by having one type of plant grown and nothing else in there. So when you are growing, let's say, green beans or something, when you're growing green beans, you don't want any other plants growing in there, because then now they're competing for mineral nutrients in the soil. They're competing for the fertilizers that are put out. They're fighting for water and sunlight. And so, the industrial food system wants only that one crop. And, if mice came in or rabbits came in to try and eat the green beans, you want to get rid of those. It's like, getting at your bottom dollar, right? If you have aphids coming in, you're spraying for aphids. So there are definitely usage for pesticides, but I think it's the overusage that is the key. And one thing that's not talked about is the usage of pesticides in USDA organic crops. So a lot of people think, oh no, I buy organic. It's not. I've had people at the farmer's market, like, they go, oh no, I buy organic, so I don't have any pesticides. It's like, that's absolutely not true.
Wait, so you're saying that certified organic stuff can have pesticides?
No, it almost guaranteed is sprayed with pesticides. And let me differentiate between the two. There are organic derived pesticides and synthetic derived pesticides. So synthetic is the typical bad character, right? The villain in this. Organic derived pesticides are approved under USDA organic standards that can be sprayed on a crop. So some of them are derived for instance, you could put for either tomatoes or corn. One thing that's what's sprayed is Bacillus thuringiensis. So this is a bacterium that is sprayed on the plants. The either tomato bollworm or the it's different on what it's the same moth caterpillar that that eats this, but it's called a different name based on the crop that it's eating. So there's the corn earworm and the tomato bollworm. So the same thing as just eating the different thing. But that, when anything in the butterfly family, which are moths, butterflies, so all your caterpillars, when they eat Bacillus thuringiensis, that goes into their gut. They can't digest it. It kills them. Okay. So that is a pesticide that is used in organic grown crops. There's also, other things. There's a lot. I mean, to get into like everything that's used would take a long time. But just to generalize it, yes, organic crops that you see are absolutely sprayed. There are very few exceptions where it's not really necessary. But for the most part, organic is sprayed, but it's an organic derived. The word organic means carbon in there. If it's synthetic, there's no carbon attached to the molecule. So there are organic pesticides that are used.
That's great. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the organic apple. Who doesn't want to eat that? There's birds that want to eat it. There's worms. I say worms, caterpillars. There a lot of different things want to eat that apple at all stages of its growth too. Thrips come in and they nip at the edge of this, tiny infant size apple right after it gets pollinated from, the bees. It comes in and it'll nip at that, and then there's that scarring on the apple. Well, people are afraid of the scarring, and so they, I don't want that apple, right? So we got to get rid of the thrips, okay? So it's a tiny little insect, but yeah, so you do, I mean, people want, they don't want scarred up fruit, and they don't want, it's like
it is kind of visual.
Holes in them.
Yeah, there's this. I get ads on YouTube sometimes for this food brand where they sell like the visually like damaged foods, or like if they have a mess up. Yeah, and they sell that food, and it's the same food. It does the same thing for you, but it just visually doesn't look the way you want to.
Well, yes, but like when you bite into an apple, you don't want to be like, there's a little caterpillar.
True.
Yeah. So that. Now you're going to the grocery store asking for a refund, and then they're sending that bill to the farmer saying, hey, you got worms in your apples, right? Yeah. So like people don't want that in their food. It is a definitely, like I said, everything wants to eat what we want to eat.
Yeah.
So
it's a hard balance to find. Do you think it is a balance that we can find with making, like, can you do farming, specifically plant farming? Because I know you do animal farming without pesticides.
Yeah.
So is there a way to do plant farming in a way where we are removing pesticides, but it's also efficient? It's also, we're not running into problems where there's worms in your apples and you're having these like kind of systemic problems where everything has to get rolled back.
I think in plant side is a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
On scale, like I don't think you have a 25 acre, 50 acre plot of blueberries. Like I don't think you're going out there and hand picking, or not hand, but like hand squishing aphids or something. Mm-hmm. There's, I think on the plant side of things, it's a lot more difficult. On the animal side of things, I mean, from just personal experience, so we don't do any synthetics, no antibiotics, no hormones, no vaccines. Even that is allowed in organic. We can get into that. But
what does that do to an animal?
Vaccines are allowed in certified organic meat. We don't do that. Especially with the big push of now mRNA, I don't want anything to do with that. So we don't do any vaccinations.
What is the reason for that?
For the vaccine?
Yeah, not doing vaccines. Yes.
I don't want any. I want just that animal Our customers are demanding that animal know their inputs. So with our cows, a good example is pink eye. Well, there's a couple things. You can vaccinate for it. We're not doing that. And if they get pink eye is I believe it's bacteria that is transferred from flies. So flies go into one that has it, it's like drinking out of their tears or whatever, going in to get fluid, and then transferring it to another cow, and it can spread pretty fast. It's pretty contagious. And so, the quick, easy, convenient thing to do would take that animal in, and there's a device called a headlock or a squeeze. It's a device where the animals go in. There's 2 metal gates that press on their neck so they can't move, and you can work the animals. You can do preg checks, you can do shots, you can work on them without getting trampled, and they're safe, you're safe. So the quick and easy thing to do would to go and get an antibiotic and give them a shot that costs you $1, and send them on their way. Okay. Take you 20 minutes, all right? Run that animal through, give it the shot, and it's good to go. We don't do that. We don't want antibiotics anywhere in our products. And so what we do when it's an animal that is going to be processed for meat is that we take that animal for 14 days. It takes to run that animal through every single day, put that animal through the head gate, lock them in, open their eye, and spray colloidal silver, which is antibacterial.
That probably costs more than $1.
Oh, it costs a ton. It's like $50 for a little jar. And so spray that in their eye for 14 days, run them through, every single day. And we've had it to where we've gotten 5 or 6 of them with that. And so it's 14 times longer. So the convenience thing, right? If you're doing that at scale, that would be a lot. Let's say you had, 1,000 head and you had that same percentage, 10% or so of your herd.
That's 100.
That's 100 every day. That would take you a long time. So now you can start seeing why when these are done at scale, it would be very difficult to do it with our method. But that's the price. And people will say why does that type of meat cost more? Well, because it took me 14 times longer to do that versus, just give them a needle and jabbing them and send them on their way. So it's worth it to me. I don't ever want my family eating that. Yeah. And so I extend that on to my customers.
Hey everyone, I want to take a quick moment to shout out my friends at Conviction Co. If you know me, you know I love my hats. And my friends at Conviction Co. have not only made an amazing hat, but hats that stand for something amazing. I'm obsessed with these, and you will be too. Seriously, they're such great quality, and I love them so much. So head over right now to convictionco.com to grab your own hats and stand with me in standing for something you believe in and looking and feeling good while doing it. Use code WAXONWAXOFF at checkout for 10% off. That's WAXONWAXOFF for 10% off at checkout. Trust me, you'll love these hats as much as I do. Use the link below. Let's get back into the episode. This makes me wonder about the affordability of these healthy foods, because I was talking to one of my friends the other night, and she was like, I don't think I could eat healthy. She's a college student, broke college student, just like me, and I was saying, I even talking about my dad. My dad had the debt of going through school as a doctor, so he had that debt on his back. He had 2 kids by age 23, something like that, and he was renting a place for his family to live while he's trying to start his own business. Mm-hmm. He always prioritized healthy foods. That was something that he prioritized. He wasn't prioritizing going out and because, dude, I work at a restaurant. People will drop $60 on 4 margaritas,
right.
and they're probably making the same amount of money that my dad was making at the time. He wasn't doing that. He prioritized health. So I do think it's kind of BS for people to say oh, I can't. There is a level of yes.
Well, there's different economic levels.
100%. But for the average person, I feel like if you prioritize it, it doesn't mean like you're going to get like the A2 dairy and you're going to be able to afford like maybe even your level of meat, but there are probably people who make a lower level income who are still buying from you, and they're doing that because they prioritize that. It's what are you going to prioritize and care about? Like even if you want to, you can remove gluten and eat more meat. That's something that you can do. That's a healthier step in a healthier direction. You can try and get, I mean, I don't even know if you should now after hearing what you said, get organic like vegetables and stuff. But
yes, always get organic vegetables.
It's still a next step.
Synthetics are the bad guys.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that there are still pesticides sprayed on it. They're organic derived. Typically, they're plant extracts.
Got it. Okay.
So yes, always, if you're buying anything, I would say always lean towards organic.
Got it.
It's the baseline for for eliminating toxins from your body. But I mean, I think you bring up a good point with the cost side of things. When my wife we were going to school together, 60% of our income went to food. Obviously, we're making very little amount when we're going to school, but 60% of your income, I mean, typically that's like, a mortgage or something, right? We're spending that much just on food because that was what we prioritized. And so, I think, another thing I think we should bring up too is that, the girl you're saying, I can't afford to eat this way. Well, the thing is that because of government subsidies, that item, that chicken, that cow, because they're fed grain, looks as if it is cheaper. But what it is the taxpayer is forking over the bill to pay farmers to grow these crops. And we have so much excess of that crop that we have to figure out how do we get rid of it. Well, it's cheap, right? Because the taxpayer is always going to pay for it. And so that goes, let's feed it to cows. Okay, let's feed corn and soy to cows, even though they've never in their the history of the bovine has ever eaten those items. And so that's where a lot of the price deception comes from, is because these things are eating a subsidized commodity. So corn and soy is not a free market. The price of corn and soy, if corn and soy is like, $6 a bushel, okay, and then it drops down, it will never drop below a certain minimum, because then the government, they'll get over and they'll take the subsidy. So a true free market would be like apples. Let's say Honeycrisp apple. They're like $1.50, $2 an apple, okay? The government, the people are not paying to subsidize apples. So the true price of the apple is that price. When you go and buy corn or anything, any ingredients of corn or soy, all of that is incorrectly displayed because it's not part of the true market, right? So corn may be 10 cents a bushel, but we would never know because the government subsidies come in and say that maybe it pays $3 a bushel, right? So it's not a true free market. So that beef, let's say, if a farmer is growing and they only get 10 cents per bushel versus 3, well, they're like, well, I'm not growing corn anymore. This is ridiculous. I can't make any money off of this. Well, then where does that excess goes away? Which means they're not feeding it to cows, which means cows then eat the diet they were created for, which is grass and pasture. And then you have the true costs of that animal. To finish a 100% grass-fed, finished, pasture-raised beef, it takes at least 24 months of growth time for that animal to be, from birth to slaughter, 24 months for that animal to be ready to go to slaughter. When you feed it in a feedlot, you're talking, some of them do 16 to 18 months. So you can see, we're like 6 to 8 months of a difference of feeding that animal longer, taking care of that animal longer. And it's all because you trickle it down, it's to the government subsidies. So that is manipulating it, and it's deceiving people to think that, oh, my noodles are my pasta is it's cheap. Well, no, it's not. It's only cheap because of the back of the taxpayer.
Yeah, you've been paying for it, you've been paying for it through your taxes, and that is why it's cheaper. Interesting. Yeah, what I'm seeing, a pattern that I'm seeing in what you're saying when it comes to the conventional farming industry is they're sacrificing good for easy. It's instead of making your easy is it's more efficient, it's better, it's faster. You can feed more people because there are a lot of mouths to feed versus this slower process where you're sacrificing a lot of things, like what you're doing with your cows. That takes 14 times as long to fix pink eye. That's not efficient. That's not scalable. And that's not profitable. It's not well, okay, it is profitable, but it's not as profitable. It is because we're
reflecting the true cost of that of beef.
Yeah, but it's not profitable for the masses. And that's kind of, it's hard for the masses to feed
I disagree.
Many mouths? You don't think?
No.
Okay.
In college, I took this, it was like a climate change class. And everyone was like, we had to do this project at the end of the quarter. It was like all these solutions to fix climate change, right? And everyone's like, oh, we need to have these machines that like pull carbon out of the atmosphere, right? My thought, so I had this for a long time, and I did the math, and it's pretty simple math. But you can take the acreage of corn and soy grown annually, and you if you were to convert this, it's seriously such a hypothetical because it's like interwoven into generations deep of farmers that would never change. But if you took that acreage of corn and soy that is grown throughout the whole Midwest, it's millions and millions, tens of millions of acres. And you take that and you convert that back into the grasses that were originally grown there, which we knew it provided forage for anywhere estimated from 40 to 60 million bison. Now, these bison were unmanaged by humans. They were only managed through the movement of, wolves and, mountain lions and stuff like that, predators of the plain, the Great Plains. But so when an animal is unmanaged like that, it is you can't maximize the production out of it. When it's managed like ours, we maximize incredibly how many animals we can put on our land. If I just let the cows go and didn't do rotational grazing, the cows would eat it all, and we would probably have half of our herd. Okay, so the way we manage keeping them constantly moved, we could maximize the production. And so I said that if we converted our corn and soy, and I took out the amount of acreage that was used for poultry or pork production, took all the animal consumption out of it, just what's used for ethanol, which is so absurd. Growing corn to make ethanol, took the ethanol out of production and the seed side of things, making your chips and whatnot. You converted that. You could take that and convert that into an animal production that could grow easily as much beef as we do annually, and probably even more so. But the whole idea is that it's not scalable. It absolutely is scalable to the masses. It would be, do we want to make the change to where we're not to where this is the production instead of growing, corn or soy. So I do believe it is scalable. We're not having the key is not having 10 corporate industries, companies that are running everything. The key is to have thousands of more farmers doing it the way we're doing it. And that is when, if everyone's doing it, then that would drive prices even lower because of competition.
Yeah.
Right.
So decentralizing the industry and making it more about the actual farmers, not the farmers who are subsidized by these big blob companies that are kind of owning all of the food industry and trying to maximize speed and what's the fastest way to get food to your mouth. And also, I think that there's a level of it is these companies probably, this is like tinfoil hat me, probably also own a little bit of pharmaceuticals. And if you're giving people foods that are unhealthy for you and are going to cause health issues, and you feel sick or you have these health issues and you need to go buy some pharmaceuticals, and then you're going and buying those pharmaceuticals that aren't actually getting to the root cause of your health issues, you're going to end up having to keep buying these pharmaceutical products over and over again. And they're just literally profiting off of your sickness from birth until death.
Yeah.
And they're keeping you just at the level of health where you can be a good enough worker, and just bad enough health where you keep buying their pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
And you're also eating their food still. So that's like a completely separate issue from what we're talking about.
It's not a tinfoil hat, because literally Monsanto was bought by Bayer, right? Bayer makes both pharmaceuticals, and now they're making Roundup, the glyphosate, the villainized, the most popular herbicide in the world right now, and they also are the ones producing the seeds. And so my thought is, if you eliminated the subsidies, you're going to piss a lot of farmers off because they've invested a ton of. Well, you're going to piss off the industrial,
complex.
The entire system's kind of rigged against them. You have to have millions of dollars of equipment wrapped up into growing these crops. I mean, you have to have a huge combine, massive spray rig. All these things are $800,000 each. For some of these pieces of equipment, so they have millions of dollars wrapped up into that. You're gonna really upset a lot of people, a lot of small farmers by doing that. But if you took the subsidies away, one, you would get a true free market, and secondly, it would no longer be profitable for the Monsantos, the seed companies, to make these seeds, because they know that they have a guaranteed purchase of these seeds, because the farmer is coming to them every year buying seed. And when they buy that seed, they're going to buy Roundup, glyphosate. Okay. And so it's again, when you funnel it down, it's like, oh, it's because it's subsidized that the companies know. It's like Pepsi, why do they use high fructose corn syrup? Because the taxpayer is going to pay for it. So it's always going to be cheap. Pepsi's going out of business. Coca-Cola, they're going out of business. Or they're going to use cane sugar when you get rid of the subsidies. Mm-hmm. Because now maybe corn is way more expensive to grow than sugar cane. Mm-hmm. It's all manipulated. And so you eliminate that, and the seed companies now, they lose their grip on the market because they can't. Not everyone's going to grow that. Mm-hmm. So, it boils down to a lot of that. It's the
there's a lot of interconnected. It's interconnected with overall these big corporations that kind of own everything, and they are all interconnected. And if you take a couple core pieces away, they go away and they stop controlling a lot of things, and it decentralizes the power more to people, less than this like kind of like 1% type of like billionaire, gazillionaire type people.
I mean, I don't have any problem with billionaires.
Me neither.
But you know, a lot of these guys, if you're making it on government subsidies, then you know, that's where I have an issue.
Yeah, I want to kind of talk about the farmers, because right now in the recent news with these cuts that USDA and HHS is doing, there's a lot of like pushback and rage towards these I think are progressions towards American health. There was $1.13 billion slashed from local food programs, and that has hit farmers really hard. Has that affected...
With what?
Huh?
With the slashes?
Yeah.
Like through SNAP?
Through SNAP.
Okay.
And I think other things. I don't have the full spreadsheet up right now. But...
It's only going to make corn cheaper because now there's more excess.
Mm-hmm. And I also, I when I was at the White House the other day, they were talking about how they are going to work on making school lunches healthier. So I assume that also has to do with it, that they're not going to be buying these crappy products anymore, and they're not going to be feeding it to kids.
I'm curious if it's the farmers that are, if this is just like...
Yeah, because they keep saying the farmers.
Yeah, well, you could say, you know, these massive... I've been to these farms up in Central California, and they have 40,000 acres, and they grow all the tomatoes for hunts, okay? It is dead zone. I've never seen anything like it. I've been to deserts that look greener than this. They are complete dead zones. Even the canals where the drainage water goes into, there's no vegetation anywhere in there. They nuke it. It's bare soil. And you know, the CEO could be pissed off that, you know, whatever, that, oh, we're cutting this. I'm not saying that this is, but I'm saying these type of giant corporations could be pissed off. They could say, well, that's the farmer, right? No, he's not a farmer. Yeah. He's a CEO.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a CEO of a farming company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, get out of here. You're not, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think most farmers, grow the crops that they grow. You know, one, they're just trying to make a living, and they're growing it because there's a demand. If there's no demand, it goes away. So like, I mean, and to say like, oh, well, we should continue to to poison people, you know, with like subsidizing, you know, with government assisted, with lunches or SNAP or whatever, that we should be having soda in there. I think that's ridiculous. Like, it's only perpetuating the issue in America of you know, our health. So our health is in great decline, and I think that you know, to step in and say, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. I think that's a perfect amount of intervention that I would want from the government. Like if the government creates a program that subsidizes people for food, great. Okay. People aren't starving, but then you're not going to give them things that are actually poisoning them. These high sugar Twinkies, like, get out of here. That's not the point of this thing. That's not sustenance.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, subsidize the steaks, the ground beef, you know, veggies.
Yeah, and I think if you do shift it that way, which would be really hard because there's a lot of money behind these kind of unhealthy foods. If you did subsidize what you're saying, like these, if you subsidized the things that go into regenerative farming,
right,
that would be a change in American health, a change in the farming industry, a change in everything. And I think that, like, what do you think? The reason is that isn't happening.
Well, one, it's not. I mean, there's not a lobbyist group, so that's a big portion of it. I mean, lobbyists go in, big corporations pay lobbyists to go in and persuade legislators to steer laws in a certain way. But like if you had to subsidize, then why aren't you incentivizing things that are actually healing the planet, and feeding people that are healing to their bodies?
Yeah. It is interesting to see. My new favorite thing to do is to watch the HHS hearings where he'll go and like pitch the budget, and you'll see like quite literally there's like a couple outliers on the left. They all have the same talking points, and they all talk about the same things, and they're like, oh, the farmers, oh, the farmers, oh, the farmers. And then there was this one lady on the right. She was the only lady I had heard. And she started talking about like, oh, we need to keep glyphosate in the thing. And I'm like, it's so weird that like everyone is saying these certain things, and then there are other people who are like, yes, we should totally like decentralize farming and make it regenerative farming a more important thing. And I'm happy that there's like senators that are saying that stuff. But it is seeing these people they seem compromised by big corporations, and these lobbyists are going to them and saying, you need to like push back against this so that way we don't disappear, so that way you like this, our money is not gone anymore, and our power doesn't dissipate, because no one wants to lose their power.
Right.
If you decentralize things, you lose your power. If things are centralized and you're the center of the power, you want to keep that.
Yeah.
And I understand
I don't know that it's all nefarious too. I mean, I think a lot of them are just ignorant. Dude, they're in government for a reason. They're non-producers. Government doesn't produce anything.
Yeah.
They're not manufacturing. They don't do anything but create laws that oppress. So government's not out there building community, building trust. That's all with the people. I mean, that's not the point. That's not the point of of government. The government was for, to serve. And it's no longer a service. It's serving to the corporate elites. That's where government has become now. And so they could say, well, yeah, this is my constituent. Yeah, you're one gigantic, very rich constituent, So, but yeah, government does not produce anything. And so some of these people, you look at these people, they have no experience in real life. They've never worked a real job. Most of these people have never worked a real job. And so these career politicians, they're just really good at speaking. So yeah, some of it, I don't know that if it's like completely nefarious. I just think they're out of touch with what's happening to the working class of people.
Has this, like, these funding cuts, have they affected the way that you operate in any way as a farmer? Do they affect you whatsoever?
One thing, well, not really, because so when we buy feed for our pigs and our chickens, those are omnivores, which means they can eat both plants and animals. And so they have a gut that can eat grain. A cow is not supposed to eat grain. So our cows don't ever eat any grain, but our pigs and our poultry do. And so we buy feed for them and grow them and finish them. But when the feed that we buy is a certified organic feed. So we buy USDA organic, and that is the reason we do that is to give the greatest potential for no synthetics. Okay, sometimes there's a manipulation or things can happen where synthetics can end up in batches of certified organic. And so but our whole thing is no synthetics, and so that's why we buy certified organic. Now, that feed costs me about double the cost if I were to buy conventional grown, guaranteed sprayed with glyphosate, and they're Roundup ready. So it's a GMO crop. Okay, so it's double the cost. Now, when like the tariffs and stuff like that, because we are certified organic, we are actually the true cost of that grain. Okay, because they're not ever selling that organic grain to the subsidy programs. Okay, so because there's a higher premium for that, there's higher losses with organic crops, and so we it is not as effective. It's really more reflective of the true cost of grain, and so it does not. We're not affected too much by it because it's really buffered by the true free market. Does that make sense?
What is the importance of knowing where your food comes from?
Oh, I think that's probably the main, probably the most number one factor that every consumer really should value and take priority on. Knowing where your food comes from is really only way to assure that it's up to the standards that you want. So that's what we tell everyone. Know your farmer, get to know who's growing your food, and trust that person. I always say it's like, come here, meet us. We always, new time customers, come and meet me, judge my character, and if you feel like, yes, he's a trustworthy person, then I want to be your farmer. Because there's so many times too that I've even seen some farmers where it's like they're manipulating the customer just because they're a small producer, and it's wrong. But that's why I feel like I feel like I'm a kind of the gatekeeper to my customers' food. That I'm a black or white type of person. I'm an all or nothing. So it's not, oh well, yeah, we can. This cow's almost ready to go to slaughter. Like, oh, we'll just give him a little antibiotics. Like, I just can't do that. It would kill my conscience. And so yeah, knowing where your food comes from, and again, breaking that convenience. It's kind of the theme of this discussion here, is that the convenience of going to the grocery store. You don't know who your farmer is. Go to a farmer's market and talk to the people there, and then say, hey, can I come on a tour? If they're like, no, I don't want this. Maybe they got something to hide. So we have a pretty good network of small organic producers around us. And we bounce customers back and forth. We grow beef, and I have a guy 10 minutes down the road has the same exact standards for beef. And when we're out, I say, hey, yeah, go over there and check them out. Because I trust that guy's character and know that he won't compromise on that. But it's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, maybe this is a crazy idea, but like we trust people. We don't trust people with a lot of things. Like you wouldn't let just anybody watch your kids. Right. You wouldn't let just anybody like house sit for you. But you'll let just some random person that you don't know at all take care of the animals that are going to become your food, that are going to fuel your body, that are going to be fueling your kid's body, that are going to be like... These can cause like...
You're consuming every day.
You're consuming this every single day. And like you even care what shows your kids watch. Right. But you don't care what literally is going to be giving them like the nutrients and vitamins and sustenance that their body needs to live every single day. Yeah. We just don't care about that. But we care about... I care that they don't watch a PG-13 movie. Right. That's like stupid. It's so dumb. Yeah. And it's a bit backwards. Yeah. It seems contradictory.
It's almost maybe because of so much governmental oversight that it's almost like people can be like, oh, well, somebody else is taking care of it for me.
And
Like,
it's also, I think people just kind of don't question a lot of things because it's just something that, like, if you're questioning everything, that's a very anxious, stressful life in the beginning because you have all these things that you're questioning.
Yeah.
And if you have these things that you're like, it's okay, that's taken care of for me.
it's like too much for somebody to think about. Plus, there's a huge, gosh, I mean, I've been in this for almost 15 years, and there's still things that I learn, So there's so much involved in the production of food at so many different levels. It's crazy. So it is like, looking at a 1,000-page book that you'd have to read, in a day and be like, I don't know how I'm ever going to do this. I won't even do it. Right. It's like so daunting of a task for people to even start that they just won't ever start it. So
I kind of want to talk about, because you just farm animals, correct? No plants? Or
I mean, we do, not for sale, but
okay.
Yeah.
For people, there's people who are vegan, they're vegetarian, they avoid meat. I kind of want to address like the common fears with you, someone who you care about your animals. You care about giving them like the purest, best form of life up until they get slaughtered. And that's something that some people have a problem with. So I kind of want to go into like the fears and have you maybe like calm or still some of the fears in people who, because there are different reasons for people being vegan. Sometimes it's a diet thing. Sometimes it's they don't want animals killed. They think that they should they should just be able to like whatever, like live their little cow life. I don't know.
Right.
But like what happens to it if you just left a cow? You didn't kill it, you didn't milk it, you didn't do nothing to it. You just left it there. What would happen to that cow?
Well, so the life of that cow, let's bring up the bison, because it's a really good comparison. That bison, the death of that bison either ended by starvation, injury, or in the jaws of some type of predator.
So you're saying that they were created to be killed in a way.
All life is.
Well, yeah, but
So
specifically they were created to be consumed by something.
Well, yes, but you could make that argument that we are too.
Fair enough.
I mean, earthworms, unless you're pumped up with formaldehyde at the end.
Yeah.
We should. Yeah, we're supposed to. All life is supposed to. Is supposed to die, and that death produces life, and that's true in a physical sense, in a spiritual sense. The idea of death being this like horrible thing in nature, it's not. It's the end chapter of that cycle. And so on the vegan side of things, I always kick myself after, but I feel like I waste time, but I love debate so much that I engage. But whenever I have farmers markets and I hand out my card, we do meat, pasture-raised meat, and they go, I'm vegetarian. And I can't help myself, but I'm always like, I'm curious why. It's not like argumentative at all. I'm just very curious. Most of the people, I'm looking forward to the vegan, vegetarian that's like, I can't stand, that the food that I eat is causing death, because I have incredible argument that I guarantee they have not looked into on that. But most of the people that do it say, it's healthier. And I think this it has to drive from a lot of these documentaries that came up, just filled with, I would say, junk science, that these things are like, vegetarian, vegan diet is the most healthiest diet. And it's a lot of, it's a lot of gymnastics to work through how they can come to that conclusion that, a vegan diet is somehow healthier than, an omnivore, or even, like a Paleolithic diet. So, but that's the majority of what people say, like, I just feel better. Like, I'm like, I don't know how that's possible. Like if you have a diet that it's necessary for you to take supplements, then that's not a complete diet. So, oh yeah, I'm like, well, how do you address the B12? Oh, I take a pill. It's like, okay, well, ding, ding, ding. Like, isn't that an indicator that you don't have a complete diet?
Yeah.
You cannot get the necessary nutrients, vitamins, and a lot of other things that meat has. You cannot get that in a vegan diet. It doesn't exist.
For the alternative, or I guess not the alternative, but the polar opposite of that for carnivore diet, do you get everything that you need without supplementation? I mean, a lot of people aren't doing this, but I think you can.
Yeah.
I think I've heard you can if you're eating like organ meats and stuff.
Right.
But not a lot of people want to do that because that's
Right.
kind of a gross, like no one wants to go munch on a heart.
Well, Katie, my wife, she took liver, she chopped it up in cubes, and she swallows them whole like a pill every day. So they're frozen, and she just pops the liver pill. It's just a cube liver. But yeah, carnivore. I mean, it's very new. I would say if I know it's definitely healed me in my health journey. I'm not 100% carnivore, but I'm definitely a lot more animal based than plant based. I've kind of shifted towards that, but carnivore, I would say, if you have to pick between vegan or carnivore, oh, absolutely carnivore. But I don't know long term if carnivore is the solution. I think it is for some people.
Yeah, like I know Jordan Peterson does really well on that. And
Right.
He's had
Well,
health
some
issues.
people, it's like he completely healed them in some major issues. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I lean more towards like a paleo diet. That's I mean, I've been off gluten for probably a decade or so.
I have a friend, another fear, I guess, when it comes to eating meat. This is one that I don't hear super often, but he's afraid of getting things like mad cow disease from eating his meat.
That's what he said?
He says, I won't eat meat because I don't want to get mad cow disease, because he can't win any of the other arguments when it comes to like, why are you... And some people, you just want to be vegan or vegetarian because you want to be vegan or vegetarian. And that's fine, but don't make up some BS like argument that you want to do it for other reasons than you just want to do it. Like, just do it. If you want to do it, do it. It's fine. No one's judging you. But don't make like a crappy argument and try and gaslight everyone into this is the best option for you and that you're like somehow better than thou because you're doing this. It's like a lot of vegans, and I'm sure there are outliers. You look like they're like skinny little twigs who will blow away in the wind, and they look like malnourished.
Sickly.
Yes, and there are probably people who are perfectly healthy, and this is a part of their health journey. And for those people, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But some people don't look healthy when they're doing this, and I'm like, dude, get this person a steak. Like, eat a freaking.
Oh, I've had a theory that because a vegan diet, I haven't thought about this, so I'm gonna like on air work my way through it. So a vegan diet is not a complete diet. So therefore, your brain is not operating optimally. And a typical diet of a vegan needs soy to create some functionality to it, with the protein on there. And so because of the phytoestrogens and plant estrogen, it's a type of estrogenics. I think that the very diet is creating a blockage in the brain to it is like the very reason for their decision to not eat meat. It's almost like, I don't want to say this, but it's like almost like a parasite, right? It's like because it's not, the brain can't make a rational decision because the diet that they're eating is not optimal for the brain. It's a wild theory. I've thought about it. I'm like, I wonder if there's any validity to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any.
It's like a vicious cycle. It's like, I don't eat meat because I can't think about eating meat, or that's like a terrible generalization.
But with the mad cow thing, okay, so his thing is mad cow. Bone meal was fed to cows, right? So they grind up bones, various animals, and feed it to cows. Okay, it's like, well, we're processing all these animals. What do we do with all the bones? Let's grind them up. And what they ended up doing was grinding up cow and feeding it back to the cow. And when you did that, that's where mad cow came from.
And is that not something that usually
you can't do that anymore? Okay. I mean, now it's completely been banned because people are literally getting mad cow.
Yeah. Okay. The last one that I hear commonly is...
sorry. I'll just clarify. We still can do it with feather meal. So all the feathers that come from the processing of chicken, you can grind that up and feed that to a cow.
Got it.
Cows eating feathers.
Fantastic. Okay. So the last one that I kind of hear, and maybe you hear more because you are at those farmers markets and you hear like, oh, I don't eat that because I'm vegetarian. But the last one I hear is that animal farming is bad for the environment. And that like cow farts. This one is silly, but maybe it's true. But cow farts put a hole in the ozone layer, and that it's bad for the environment. Can you address? Because
that's why they eat a vegan diet.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I hear for you, like you've talked about how like the way that you rotate these animals, it helps the land, does it not?
Absolutely.
Okay, so can you go into first like addressing that and then showing what it is that you do and maybe how it contradicts that?
Yeah, so the big villain in agriculture right now is the cow. The cow does produce methane. Methane is toxic to the ozone layer. But what they miss is that I'll guarantee that a vegan is eating rice. Okay. The main culprit in methane emissions is rice production. Rice produces, the growing of rice produces 40% of the methane produced in the agricultural scope of greenhouse gases. Is 40% of the greenhouse gases comes from rice production. And people don't want to talk about that. And the reason for that is because when you grow rice, you fill up the rice paddy, and the water literally kills all the soil, okay? So it goes anaerobic. There's no air, okay? And that anaerobic then emits all the methane in the atmosphere. And so although cows do emit some methane, when managed the way we manage our cows in a rotational system that grazes the plants and allows them to rest, we move our animals every single day. So it grazes, it nips those grasses, and then the animals are taken off and moved to a new section. It is building a soil ecosystem that is optimal. And in that optimal soil ecosystem, you have things that are called methanotropes, methane consuming organisms. Okay. And so the only way, and I've said this for many years, the only way to reverse greenhouse gases, the big villain is carbon dioxide, methane, is by doing what we're doing. You will not ever get any higher form of carbon sequestration, methane, consumption, but through the soil. And so, people say, well, we got to plant more trees. A healthy pasture, well, I haven't, the stat limit, it's been many years since I've brought this one up. I believe it's, it sequesters 1 ton per acre per year of CO2 in a optimal growing pasture system. When that ground is opened up and plowed, all of that carbon goes right back into the atmosphere. So when you say, oh no, we need to eat corn, I need my chips and my wheat noodles for my vegan diet with my soy whatever, burger patty, right? That is emitting all the carbon back in the atmosphere. But what we're doing, all the pasture that we have, that is trapping the CO2 in the soil. And I'll break this down because this is something that I think gets too far ahead, and it can be easily said, and simplified. But plants need they convert three things and make it sugar. So water and CO2. They take water and split that into hydrogen and oxygen, and then they take CO2 and pull that out and take that as the carbon and the oxygen, and they combine those together and make sugar out of those three things. Sugar is made up of hydrogen. It's an arrangement of hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. And that all comes from the exhaust of every mammal is CO2, okay? We breathe out CO2, we breathe in oxygen. Well, the waste product for plants is oxygen. Okay, so they have a ton of extra oxygen that they're emitting out when they're converting carbon dioxide, and water into sugar. And so people are like, well, how is the carbon stored into the soil? The plant is they're an autotroph, so they make their own food. And they're using the sunlight as its energy source to convert carbon dioxide, and water into sugar. And then once they convert that sugar in their leaves using photosynthesis, it pumps that down into its roots. And as that cow comes by and it nips the grass, it then sloughs off and uses up that sugar to regrow more biomass, all along while making more roots. The more roots we have, the more carbon is trapped in the soil. And carbon is the key to life. That's what makes it organic, right? That carbon molecule. We are carbon-based organisms, right? That carbon feeds the soil life. So all the billions and billions of organisms that live in every square feet of the soil, that is the food source for all of that. There's this massive ecosystem of organisms living in the soil, and it all comes by that carbon. So this idea that like carbon is this big villain, it is absolutely not true. We just need more plants, more grass, convert that cornfield and that soy field into pasture, and you will actually sequester more carbon than you could with any other process, any other plant, anything else. Pasture is one of the best forms to sequester carbon. So that completely puts a lock on the idea that cows are the culprit, right? I will say they have an excellent point for those feedlot systems. Those animals that are, ankle deep, knee deep in their own manure, that is a cesspool. There is no ecology there, consuming that methane. It creates dead zones. It just shows you that when management is the key, really. You manage the animal, manage the soil, and you don't have any of those issues.
So it's not the cows or the meat farming that is bad for the environment. It's the system in which the cows are farmed. It's the way in which the cows are farmed. It's
not the cow, it's the how. That's
what
I've heard.
Yeah, and that's so true, and that's fascinating. Oh
yeah. Yeah, so listen, if somebody's like, "Oh, I am not eating animals because they're crammed in tight areas and they're destroying the earth," I would 100% agree that the conventional industrial model is absolutely destroying the earth. But it's both things, plants and animals are, that production of both plant and animal absolutely is environmentally, it is absolutely destructive.
I see this another pattern of like this. There's a partnership between the land and the animal, and the farmer partnering with those two things and not being invasive when it comes to that, and kind of sitting and like you recognize that this is the way that things are supposed to go. And it wasn't really a system created by you. It was a system created by nature and by God.
Yes.
And this is the way that things should go. And I think that what it would take, it's funny. It's following these like God systems that exist. And when we do that and we stay like we tune into what the way that this complex ecosystem functions, it becomes more efficient for well-being of everything, not just humans, but of animals and of the ecosystem and of the environment.
Yeah. Well, and I've always said too that, I think the human body is a triune being. I think there's a triune, system set up here, but you have the animals, the plants, and the humans. And all three of those, when managed properly, you have a healthy animal, healthy plants, and healthy humans. So it's the key of the human managing the animals to optimally produce plants, so that way that plant is feeding the animal and right back to it, and they all work together. But it's the key is that centerpiece of managing both the soil and the animals optimally, and we are a huge benefactor of that health.
Mm-hmm. If you were to compare or try and sell your way of farming and your products that come out of your way of farming versus like going to Walmart and buying chicken, how would you what are the pros of yours versus the pros of the other version?
What are the pros of
buying, I guess explain to people what they're getting when they buy from a regenerative farmer.
So one, you're going to get a higher nutrient dense product. If they are truly regenerative, you are going to have a way higher nutrient profile. So a lot of plant nutrients our bodies can't and will never extract, but animals have this incredible ability to convert a plant that we cannot consume. And they have, because we have two totally different types of digestive systems. And so a cow can take something that would probably make us sick and convert that into incredible fat and protein. And so plus it's filled with all the micronutrients. So I think, it's the big buzzword, regenerative farming, grass-fed, pasture-raised, like all of these things. I think really, even though most farmers are in that labeling, or I think are doing the right thing, I think, where is the diversity in the pasture? If you're getting this incredible plant diversity, then you can imagine the difference in plant nutrients that cow is consuming. That cow is holding on to those nutrients, so when we partake of that animal, we get to consume those nutrients. And so, if you have 5 different species of plants in your pasture, it's like, Well, that's a good start. I'd rather, have that than the guy that's getting feather meal and chicken crap, But with ours, I mean, we have 40 to 50 different species out there, and it's a huge palette of nutrients. And so plus the taste and texture, when going on poultry, the taste, texture, and health components of pasture-raised poultry is by far superior to anything you'd find in the grocery store. Now, I would even go as the far, I'm like going way out. But if somebody was vegan, I would even say, like, I think that's such a destructive diet to the human body. I would say eat grocery store meat, like get some protein in you. There's ways of doing that, but the difference is ours will have a higher nutrient profile and way healthier components. When that cow is fed that grain diet, within 2 weeks of it being fed a grain diet, it reverses most of the health components in a 100% grass-fed animal. So, that animal, like I said, was fed grass its whole life. Well, it goes into a feedlot. Now it's converting into, higher omega-6s, and, you end up degrading the health components when the animal goes into that system. But ours is, never fed that. So we don't have that concern.
I like to end the podcast, I like to ask like these same questions to everyone, because I think these are like kind of core things for just people my age, people, anyone, any age that they can glean from. And it kind of gets less of like a professional view of you and more of a personal one. So the first question is, what book has changed your life?
I would say one thing that really shaped me definitely, like, more influence in the specific time period of life, but Walden by Thoreau. Mm-hmm. That was a incredible book. And then I want to say two, if I can do two, I'll be greedy.
You can do two.
Another thing that I think really changed a lot of my perspective, has been incredible influence in the agricultural side of things, but Joel Salatin, who has Polyface Farms in Virginia, the first book I read from him was Everything I Want to Do Is Illegal. And that was an awesome book. I think that really steered me on the trajectory of where I'm at today in life. So those are two pretty good books.
The next question is, what quote right now in your life like is really sticking with you? If you have one. Some people don't.
Yeah, I have to pull it up. I'm horrible. I can't ever remember quotes. That's why I write them down. This is a Samuel Adams quote. It does not require a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen to set brush fires in people's minds. That's one that I think about often.
That's good.
I think that's, it lights the fire in me to educate people on where their food comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you could tell 18-year-old you one thing, what would you tell him?
I would say it would be hard to get through to him. But like, stop caring about the material. Like, stop caring what people think about you. Yeah. Stop trying to fit in.
I don't even think I just watched Into the Woods yesterday. Mm-hmm. It was a play that we went to, and
the guy that hiked the AT?
No, Into the Woods it's like this like fairy tale thing.
Oh.
But the girls, to get their feet into Cinderella's shoe, they cut their foot, and everyone's trying to be Cinderella. Everyone wants to be this like perfect thing that the prince is gonna want. But that's not, Cinderella isn't real, and there is no prince, and that's not even like, we're all striving after this fake goal, so we cut aspects of ourselves. Like the one girl cut her heel off and the one girl cut her toe off, and the shoe is soaked with blood, and you see the bloody shoe and their foot, like the piece of their foot on the floor. And everyone does that. They alter themselves to try and be this thing that doesn't even exist. And I think that is really important, because especially young people, they feel like, especially now with social media, they feel like,
I can't imagine
they need to be
the pressures of that,
like everyone else. And like, it's really, you're not supposed to be like anyone else.
Yeah.
And you're not even supposed to think like anyone else.
I think I was, in 18, and probably even later, like into my like 19 and 20, it was like this constant, like, fashion and all this, that, man, I got way wrapped into that. It's so ridiculous. It's like for this, like, people to look at you and perceive you this certain way. It's so meaningless.
And that's not to say that you like can't like fashion. Like, I like dressing nice, but I like dressing nice for me. Like, I like dressing like this. No one dresses like this. This is how I dress. And because it fulfills me and it makes me happy.
Right.
I'm not like, what am I going to wear that I'm going to get compliments on from other people? I'm not thinking about other people. And it took time. Like, I used to dress for other people. I used to do that stuff for other people. I used to act the way that I knew that other people would like me more if I acted that way. And I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And you can still like use your powers of influence to get people to like you more, or want to work with you more, or be friends with you, or whatever. Like, there's still like, you have to be a likable person, but you don't have to like cater to everyone's needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be liked by everyone.
And because that's a fake life. And the most successful people,
If everyone likes you,
you're not.
It's not
if
who
everyone
you
likes
are.
you, no one likes you, because no one likes everyone.
maybe.
You have to be polarizing in some way, shape, or form, because then you're a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where can people get your products? Where can people find more about you? And yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, healfarms.com, HEAL, farms with an S. We sell our products, either have on-farm pickup or we do shipping.
Do you ship everywhere?
We do ship everywhere, yeah. In the lower 48, not in Australia. We haven't got there yet.
Yeah. So if you are in America and you want
the lower 48, we have we do ship there. And then I have Instagram.
plug it.
What is this, like _ Heal Farms? I actually did have Heal Farms, and I think it thought I was a bot, fake account, and it got rid of it.
What?
Yeah, it was really terrible.
There was this big podcaster recently. I don't know why, but he had like 400,000 followers, and he has like he does all these podcasts, all this stuff, and then his account was just gone, and he couldn't get it back. 400,000. Now he has like 10K.
Oh
Yeah, and he's had like huge guests on, like massive people.
See,
all of those
it's
posts are gone. All of them. They're all gone.
no way, dude.
All those collabs, all those like collab posts that he has with people, they're just gone. And he doesn't know why. And it was like, what? He's like, I have to restart. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the last.
I only had like 300 at the time. I was still pretty
that's
pissed.
good. At least it wasn't 400K. Yeah.
But
that's
I
crazy.
would like that name.
Yeah.
Got the underscore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, goodbye,
Okay.
everyone.
Goodbye.